Good evening. Impaired driving is becoming an escalating problem for police forces across the GTA. Toronto police laid 27 charges related to impaired driving offenses within a 12-hour span last week. And tonight in York Region, officers are trying to get a grip on the disturbing trend with the launch of a ride spot check campaign.
Yeah, it's a ride spot check. We're just out. It's the start of our festive ride.
York Regional police officers will be in marked and unmarked vehicles looking for suspected impaired driving, which police say is spiking. So far this year, officers have laid over 1,200 charges, 38 more than the previous year. With the legalization of cannabis back in October, there's concern that number will increase.
We've seen the tragedy on York Region roads, yet people continue to choose to use alcohol, use drugs, and get behind the wheel of a vehicle. But I can tell you, we're going to be out in full force every day, every night between now and New Year's Day, conducting ride spot checks and officers out there looking for possible impaired drivers.
In the majority of the cases, are you finding it's alcohol? Is it drugs? What is it?
The majority of the cases have been alcohol and continue to be, but with the legalization of cannabis, we are seeing an increase in the number of people that are being impaired by drugs. So it's a trend that we predicted would happen. We're seeing the effects of that now, and we think it's going to continue to grow. But alcohol is still predominantly the intoxicant that's in people's systems.
According to police, there have been 5 fatal collisions in the region this year. Mothers Against Drunk Driving was present today, as well as those who have been impacted by impaired driving, including a member of the York Regional Police and the Neville Lake family. Jennifer Neville Lake's father and 3 young children were killed in 2015. As a reminder of this tragedy, drivers will receive a card with a photo of Harry, Millie, and Daniel, reading "Not one more."
On the back of the cards is actually a drawing that was created by the friends of the Neville Lake kids afterwards to talk about how impaired driving has impacted their lives.
My son-in-law was killed last year, November, by an impaired driver. And I now have 2 grandsons, one that doesn't remember his father and one that will never get to know his father.
It's life-altering, and in the blink of an eye it happens. And these people that make these decisions to drive impaired, either by drug or alcohol, they're taking people's lives in their hands every time they do it.
How effective would you say programs like these are?
I'd like to think they're very effective. You make one person aware, or you take one impaired driver off the road, you're potentially saving a life. So, and that's the very important part.
Yeah, he just went onto the oncoming, by the way. Right as
for at least a solid minute.
Yeah,
at least.
I almost just got into a head-on crash. He went right through an intersection in the oncoming.
A recent scary moment on the roads happening late Friday night. York Regional Police were called by 2 stepbrothers who suspected a driver was impaired on the road. They closely followed the vehicle for about 15 minutes while on the phone with a 911 operator until a cruiser showed up.
She went right through an intersection in the oncoming.
Yeah, it was crazy.
With oncoming cars approaching at her.
As drivers and as, using the road, what are you thinking?
She's going to hit somebody. Someone's going to go off the road. It's either going to be her, it's going to be her and somebody else. Someone's going to get in a very different situation than they left their house at that night.
At what point did you realize that something is off here?
Almost immediately for myself. I've seen this before. It's not the first time I've called it in.
And luckily, no one was injured Friday. York Regional Police tell us charges including dangerous driving have been laid against the female driver, and her license has also been suspended for 90 days.